It is. It is. It's not small at all. Okay. Now what's happening here? Okay. Go back. Oh. So first, this is a really nice quote from Dr. Ralph Smedley, which obviously says, but just what do we mean by leadership? We're all leaders here. It would appear to be the capacity to look ahead, think ahead, plan ahead, and then influence other people to go ahead in the plan. And I believe that when we create and we want to build a new club, we are leaders. We are starting a new leadership project. And I would like to just talk to you about my journey. It started back in October of 2010. A dear friend of mine went to a Toastmasters meeting in Marbella. She came back and said, Claudia, oh my goodness, you will not, this is an amazing experience, being able to be in a safe space, to practice public speaking and leadership skills. And both our husbands have businesses at a technology park here in Andalucia. And she's American as well as I am. And we decided together that it would be beneficial for a Toastmasters club in the park, at the technology park. There was no safe space for anyone there in the park. There were many companies, over 3,000, or actually even more. And we thought it would be a good idea to create a club there. And we did. And at first, we started off with, 6 people. It was just 6 people who we invited. Of course, we had the support from Toastmasters, the Achievers who are in Marbella. They felt a little bit threatened that we wanted to actually create a new club because they were the only club in Malaga, in the province of Malaga. And you will get this from time to time where you will want to open a club and build a new club, and then other clubs might feel threatened. But nowadays, how many clubs, for example, are there in Madrid? There's about 15 clubs and more in Madrid, and that's one city. So of course there's room for many clubs. So don't shy away from people who tell you you shouldn't or you can't because it's too close to another existing club. It all depends. And again, we had the support from the Achievers, and slowly, we were doing our marketing, traditional marketing, of course, flyers going around to companies, speaking to the HR. We had an advantage because our husbands obviously had their businesses there. So we tapped into their communications at the park, and we went to their central headquarters and showed them what Toastmasters was all about. And they started promoting the club to all the businesses. So that helped enormously. Again, we started in October 2010, and we didn't charter until 2011, April 2011. So it took us 6 months to charter. Thanks to the businesses that we knew, we were able to recruit the 20 members that were needed, because it's hard. Sometimes it gets very hard. People start going and then they don't. And the time of day that it took place was crucial. Being at a technology park, we did it during the lunch hour. So it was between 1:30 and 3 o'clock. And because it wasn't in a corporate club, of course, many of them had to have their lunch during the meeting. Okay, either during the meeting or after the meeting. It all depended. But nevertheless, we chartered in April 2011, and I'm happy to say that it's, continues and it's going strong. We have close to 40 members. And now people are starting to feel like, oh my goodness, I don't think we've ever reached 40 members. What do? We do nothing. Right now, we do nothing. I'm not sure if many of you know Pat Johnson. She's like the corporate, she was the past president, international past president, the corporate club queen, like we call her. And she says that 36 members is the perfect number for a club. Okay, so maybe if you have 60, then you can consider splitting a club, but 36 is a good number to have. And now I can also say that after 13 years, I can finally leave the club behind and have empowered people to lead the club, and the club officers are amazing. They're strong and they know that they can count on me. So that gives me great joy to know that I don't have to be, even though, I have all the leadership roles, that club officer roles, except for treasurer, then area director, division director, now program quality director. You want to make sure you empower others to continue with the club so that you don't always have to be there, but you are there to support them for sure. So the mission, our district mission, we build new clubs and we support all clubs in achieving excellence. So building new clubs is essential for our districts to continue to grow. In District 107, we're not like you. You have a huge challenge because you are many countries. We have Spain, Portugal, Morocco that we acquired 2 years ago. And now we have Tunisia. We don't have any clubs in Algeria. So we are growing and we're excited about that. And our challenges are, of course, Morocco. It's difficult for the Moroccans to travel to our district for for contests and events because of their visas. So it creates and poses a huge challenge on our district. And within your district, I'm not sure if you have any of those challenges as well with visas, being able to travel back and forth or not. But in our case, it is, but we overcome it as best we know how. And we try to have events in Morocco to support them so that they don't feel that they're not involved in any of our district events. So why do you want to start a Toastmasters Club? That's the first question to ask yourself. Why do you want to do this? Everyone here, do you want to start a club, or are you here just to listen on how to do it? I'm curious. You can unmute.
Claudia, this is Saskia. Hi.
Hi, Saskia.
Hello. Thank you for your kind introduction, and also, very nice story about the foundation of the club in your region or your district. I'm basically here just to learn, to listen and learn. I do not have plans for myself or for my district at the moment, but I'm happy to listen and learn. So thank you so much.
Okay, great. I can't see everyone's hand raised here, so I will need some help. So, of course, why did we do it? We wanted to open up opportunities, especially for young businessmen and women. We wanted to make sure, again, we had that safe space for them to practice communication and leadership skills. Here in Spain, it's not a skill. They're not skills that are taught in school. In the US, we have speech and debate in high school, and we continue that in college. So it's something that's ingrained in our system. We start this very young, show and tell, and I think in many countries as well. And because maybe it doesn't exist in your town, and that's also why you want to start a club. Or, it fulfills, remember this, it does fulfill an HPL project, a level 5 project. Make sure that if you do want to build a club, that you make this and convert it into a project. Give a speech at the beginning, letting everyone know what you're doing and why you're doing it, and make sure you have a committee, okay? And we all know that it builds self-confidence and it creates leadership potential for many. So first you have to ask yourself too, what kind of club you would like to build. Because we were at the technology park, many thought we were building a corporate club, and it was not like that. It's a community club. We had a community club, but we recruited members from different companies, which was great. That led us actually to then build clubs at the park with corporates. So we had Oracle. Oracle was a club that I helped build, as well as Ericsson and an aeronautics company called AirTech. Oracle continue today. They continue strong. Oracle was somewhat easy because Oracle is a worldwide international corporation, and they have Toastmasters clubs in all their Oracle offices, and most of them anyway. So it was easy. Ericsson, on the other hand, was a little bit more difficult, but they also have Toastmasters clubs in their companies. And AirTech, that was the first time, and it went really well. They're no longer with us just because they decided it was time. They fulfilled what they wanted to fulfill back a couple of years ago. I think it was in 2018 when we had we didn't have pathways back then. We had the legacy program. And so they wanted all their engineers, for example, especially all the sales engineers, to become competent communicators. All they really wanted to do was complete one of those manuals and tick it off their training. Okay. And sometimes you'll have companies like this, but we want, if you are going to build a corporate club, we want it to be sustainable. We want it to continue. We want them to retain their members. Not just, oh, this is the main objective, and then they close, and then that's a dead club. We don't want that. We want them to continue. Again, like Oracle, they continue all over the world. Amazon as well. We have big corporations. I'll touch that a little later. And then, of course, the community club is also a challenge because it all depends on geographically where you're located. There are many who have come to me who said, you know, I'm in a village and we have nothing like this. Well, you can. I mean, there's nothing to stop you from building a club as long as you create the marketing and the outreach, because you definitely need outreach. So these are the requirements for all clubs, whether it's community or corporate. The minimum, you have to at least meet 12 times per year, okay? In the beginning, that's all they do, once a month. Of course, we always suggest that you do it weekly just to keep up the momentum, but I do understand that not all clubs can do that. So they do sometimes choose fortnight, every 15 days, every 2 weeks. And they have to be, of course, in person or online or a combination. We're lucky now that we can have these hybrid. Some people, for example, many clubs in Spain have decided they don't want hybrid ever again. It's just a way of life here in Spain. They want to be in person, whereas other clubs want to be hybrid. And I know many clubs, for example, in New York, they're so excited that if they can do meetings online because of of course, the transportation and just how busy everyone gets. If they're happy to be in front of a computer. So that's fine. That's fine. Whatever works is fine. And then, of course, you determine what type of platform, Zoom, Google Meet. It depends on what you want and what your members want and need. And we all know that members have to provide their own technology and speeches and have their evaluations. And making sure that everyone has roles, to keep up the momentum at every single meeting. That's something we all know. Now, community club, what to consider. So who's your target audience? I've seen many community clubs start niche clubs. And what do I mean by niche clubs? Maybe it's just for people in IT. Maybe it's for people who are entrepreneurs and want to start a business. Maybe it's for doctors. Maybe it's for parents. There are so many possibilities of starting a community club. All ideas are valid, and there are so many. So, make sure that you have an open mind, and I'm sure you can achieve this. Location, venue, and date and time, of course, that's something to consider. With Malaga, we started at the park, but then years later, there was a recession, a huge recession. Many members lost their jobs, and going back to the park was difficult. So we decided to take Toastmasters Malaga to the city. Why not? Over 3 million there. How can we not get more members? And we are very fortunate that we are in a cultural center, civic center. We have the venue for free. We have at least 20 rooms that we can use with no cost at all. So that is the biggest challenge, of course, for many, is the cost involved and how they're going to cover the costs and, your membership fees. Are they going to increase because you have to cover the costs of a venue? And now we meet, instead of meeting during lunchtime, we meet in the evenings from 7 to 9. That is our standard now. And then you need your sponsors and your mentors. The sponsors, they're the ones that help you to market. They can also help you with all the documentation. I was the one that handled all the documentation when I was a sponsor. And then I've also mentored clubs as well. You just need to make sure that they're assigned within the 60 days from the date of charter. And marketing, speechcraft. I'm not sure if many of you have given a speechcraft. Speechcraft is a wonderful tool to be able to get new members. Basically, you have Speechcraft, I believe it's 8 sessions, if I recall correctly. It's 8 sessions that you give. And it could be on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis. It all depends on who you're giving the Speechcraft to. Of course, you market also on social media. You do your open houses, your demo meetings. There's a lot of work involved when you're creating a community club. And you need committed and dedicated people to support you. Whoever's going to be on board with you should be committed 100% or more. You need the 20 members. Remember, 17 must be new, okay? And if you want to create another club from an existing club, just make sure that you should have at least more than 50. I recommend 60 because, as I mentioned earlier, 36 seems to be a good number to have, knowing that not everyone attends meetings, okay? So that you have to be careful, and everyone in the existing club needs to have the buy-in that you do want to split, okay? Or else there's going to be a lot of tension. About 3 years ago, this happened to one of the clubs in our area. They wanted to split, and then COVID hit. They went up to 55. They decided, yes, we're going to split, and there was no way they were going to do that because many people didn't renew, and they ended up having only like 22 members left. So they had to keep it to one club. And then you have your executive committee. Now, the executive committee, when you're starting the club, it's difficult sometimes to get 7 on board. But just remember that the president, the VPE, and the treasurer and the secretary can act as one, okay? You do need 3 people, 3 members to commit to being on the executive committee. So you don't need all the roles. Of course, we highly encourage everyone to take on a role, but if you find it difficult, just know that you can that the minimum is 3. Okay, VP, president, VP, and then the treasurer and the secretary who can fulfill those roles. And then we have the incubation process, which is always under construction until you charter. And that, my suggestion, and I'm glad we did it this way, is that first of all, there are 6 forms that you have to complete in order to charter, okay? Now, one of the first forms is the application to organize, and you pay the $125. Many people don't want to do that simply because they're not sure they're going to charter. But I'm of the opinion that once you complete the application to organize and you pay the $125, that you are going to be more committed and dedicated, and you will be held accountable. You are going to be cheering everyone on to make sure that the club charters. And the beauty of it too is that you gain access to level 1, and it motivates people to start on their journey with pathways, and you retain people and you empower them to take on the leadership roles. So I do encourage you to complete the application to organize as soon as you can to get everybody on board. And what you can also do when you pay the $125, depending on who will pay it, because many times it could be the sponsor or it could be a team. In my case, it was my friend and I, and then we split the cost once we had the 20 members. And this is something that we shared with every member coming in, that we had to pay this. This was like the setup fee, and everyone was keen on splitting the cost at the end. So that helped a lot. And then we want to run the membership building campaigns, open houses, demo meetings. And remember, the open house, for example, Malaga, we open it to everyone every week. We don't do from time to time, we'll do a special meeting, but of course, we all know that Toastmasters meetings in general are open, and demo meetings tend to be shorter. We've done demo meetings at universities, at parent-teacher meetings. We go to the International School of Languages, and we've given demo meetings there. So not necessarily do they have to come to you. I advise you to go to them and encourage you to go to where you think you have niche markets to do demo meetings. We've been to corporates as well, giving demo meetings, and that has gone extremely well. Invitation to Toastmasters events. I think many of us forget that your contests, anytime you're running, and anytime there's contest season happens, we should invite people to come and see what we're all about, because there's a lot more than just giving speeches and leadership roles. We have these beautiful events, and it's a nice time to be able to network, have, like I said, meetings in different locations, run the speechcraft, and the digital media press releases. Those also help. Each time we have an event, we try to reach out to somebody in the, in the editorial world, in the digital newspaper outlets, social media. And if you invite them, they tend to give you a free editorial, and that's free advertising for your club. Okay, they might announce who the winner, who the winner of the international contest was, and maybe it was somebody in the city, and they'll promote it, and that way you can also build up momentum. So here's the charter documentation process. Again, the application to organize, that's the foundation. That is the first one, okay, that you will complete. And it's a process of 6, but of course, the rest comes after you have the 20 members. So again, the first form is the application to organize, just to get you started. You'll get your pathways, the first level of pathways to motivate people who are starting. And then after that will be form 2, form 3, all the way to 6. I want to highlight one thing here. Now, the Excel and charter membership application, form 3. It's the charter membership application that needs to be completed when you're building a new club, not the regular membership application form, okay? There's been confusion. Many are filling out the application, the regular application form, and it's not the case. You need to fill out the charter membership application. And now Toastmasters has even made it easier. Instead of having every member complete it and send it to World Headquarters, there's now an Excel spreadsheet that you can complete to make it easier. Because maybe you have the 20 members and you just, for some reason, feel they don't want to be bothered to complete the application form. It's happened with a corporate club that we just chartered. They went straight to charter. They did not complete the application to organize. They did not do that. They knew that World Headquarters, their World Headquarters based in Canada, wanted them to set up a club. And they said, okay, Claudia, help us. We need to start the club now, which was brilliant. It was great to have a club like this, but they did not want to touch administration at all. So they were just like, no, just, we'll give you the names, we'll supply you with the emails, and then you can help us do the rest. And I said, well, we need people to actually, sign the forms as well. My goodness, why don't you want to have them do that? They just didn't. They were very reticent in doing that. And of course they had to in the end, because the charter membership application, you have to have that copy, a signed copy. You don't necessarily have to send that copy to World Headquarters, to Toastmasters. What they require is either the charter membership application or the Excel. Okay, and the Excel, I'm glad they finally did this, because having to enter all the applications, all the information was, I still to this day can't believe that that's how they used to operate. And now it's just cut and paste, and the charter process is a lot faster because of the Excel spreadsheet that we give to World Headquarters. And then, of course, the charter club officer information, like I mentioned before, just those three. The 7 would be great, club information, and then you have the club constitution and addendum. But that you don't have to worry about until you have your 20 plus members, okay? And we have a beautiful building a new club toolkit. Toastmasters now has these beautiful and wonderful resources online. They did not have this back in 2010. So master your meetings. These are all direct links to these resources, which help and will help you immensely. And I highly recommend that you take a closer look into them. If you just type in new club resources on the Toastmasters International page, you'll get this. You'll get all this information, and it really helps. So I encourage you, if you want to do this, to share this knowledge base with your members and with anyone wanting to build a club, because it is a lot easier if you obviously go to the resources and take a closer look. There's something about Toastmasters that many people just don't like to read. We want people to do everything for us. And like I always mention to our Toastmasters members here in District 107, I don't want to spoon feed people. I will give you the information, but then you have to go out and read it and digest it and apply it to however you want to apply it. But I'm not going to be giving you all the information. You have to do some research yourself. But I always give people just a kickstart, a head start, and this is the head start. Okay. So I want us just to take a moment to reflect, how many of you here want to build a community club, want to build a corporate club? What are the challenges that you're facing in doing so? Anyone want to share?
Yoko. Thank you. I'm very excited and interested in starting a new club in the building across from my office, which has multiple academic institutions. I wrote to HR, but there's no response, and I'm wondering if there's no response from HR, but I don't want to harass them either. So, would that be better to wait?
Is there anybody else in what position do you hold in the company?
I don't, I work in totally different organization, and I reach out to the neighboring academic institutions if they're interested in starting a new club, or if they're interested in Toastmasters.
Okay, because sometimes a good start is just to have that first meeting with them. And then offering to do a demo meeting with them. Some emails, unfortunately, if there's someone that that has a direct link to someone, is always the best. And there's also a resource that Toastmasters International has where they actually give you the email to send to people like this.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll review that because I have that in one of my slides.
Thank you.
So maybe the email wasn't as direct as you needed it to be, or it all depends. I'd be happy to see it and to give you advice, to share experiences.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Nigel.
It may not be the right time to ask this question, but I've been a bit worried by the fact that there's a lot of kind of enthusiasm about starting clubs. There's stuff about, being mentors and sponsors, and, there's a lot of people who are very enthusiastic about getting their DTM points and stuff like this. But one thing that worries me is that clubs start, they have 1 or 2 years when they flourish, and then they disappear. And it seems to me that when a club comes and then it dies, it leaves a big hole behind. Not only the chances of that club within that institution that they kind of just ruin for many years, but the people who have been in contact with that process, in some places it's like they have their fingers burned. So what I would like to ask you as a very experienced person who started clubs that have been successful, is there a moment or a situation when you would say, that's not a good idea, we should wait, or we need more elements in place before we start? That's my question.
That's a great question. For example, you will not charter a club unless you have, well, you can't charter a club unless you have 20, that's for sure.
Mm.
And when you charter a club, you pay the full 6 months ahead of time, okay? It's not that they don't do, for example, if you charter a club in September, and we know that renewals are in October, it's not prorated. All members have to pay the full 6 months. Okay, so that's already commitment there because you're paying for 6 months. You're not paying at a prorated base. Now, there's
sorry to interrupt you, but
part-
I think I noticed this was more of a problem with corporate clubs, because if you get a corporate entity interested, sometimes they provide the room, they provide the finance to start the club, they pay the membership fee, so the members don't pay anything. Some clubs they do, but some corporates they don't. And so in a way, the kind of the commitment involved, like starting a community club, is a huge investment. You need people to be really on board, a committee and enthusiastic people. But a corporate club, maybe there's less investment in the process.
Well, with the corporate club, first of all, HR is key. You have to have their buy-in, as well as the buy-in from the training department, because many corporations have training departments, and Toastmasters is a nice way to fulfill training for them. And there's a whole different approach when it comes to a corporate club versus a community club. The corporate world, no one wants to go to a meeting. We don't call them meetings when we set up a corporate club. We're calling them trainings. Okay. And we are not telling people, oh, and you are going to be giving speeches. No, you are not giving speeches. You are giving presentations. Okay. So there's a whole different approach. We don't want it to be a club. Okay. You can call it many different ways, right? But there's a whole different dynamic when it comes to corporates. For example, aeronautic company, they wanted all their sales engineers to become competent communicators. They knew that that's what they wanted. They had somebody there taking roll call, making sure that members were at least participating 85% of the time. They were held accountable. And in community clubs, you don't really hold too many people accountable, but in a corporate club, you need to hold people accountable. And at a corporate level too, Toastmasters, if you're a sponsor or a mentor, you need to be held accountable. You need to follow up for at least 6 months. You need to follow up with them on a regular basis so that they know and understand how the whole infrastructure of running a meeting, training, is supposed to happen. Because that's where I think a lot of corporates fail, is that the sponsor and the mentor and any other resource isn't there helping. We have a situation with Ericsson, for example, in Malaga. We are down to 6 members. They started off strong, and then they had 18, then they had 15, then they were suspended, and then they reinstated last year, and then they're back to having 6 members. And we're like, oh my God, you just reinstated. You paid a lot to be reinstated again. What's happening? Sometimes there's just a bad egg, a bad egg that needs to leave the club in order for it to thrive again. So my recommendation is making sure, I would not start a corporate club unless you have the resources to offer help, to offer them the help that they need, that mentoring and that coaching that they need so that they can go off and do it on their own. because that's where it gets, that's where they fail. That's where they tend to fail. And many don't ask for help, which is another big mistake. People tend to think that that's, asking for help is a sign of weakness, when we all know that asking for help is a sign of strength. But for some reason, they don't want to share why they need help. They feel that they can do it themselves, and then they do it all wrong, and then they don't participate in contests as well. Why not? Corporates should also be able to participate in contests. We have one company who doesn't want any communication from us, from the district at all, to their members. And I'm just like, wow, why? No. All communication has to go strictly only to the president of the club, but not to the other members. So my worry is always, are you funneling all the information that we're giving to you, the president? Are you giving that information to your members? Because they might be missing out on a lot of information that we're not sure they're receiving. So yeah, you'd have to have the buy-in from HR, their training department, and then again, different departments or different corporate clubs have different objectives for their employees. There was one company that I approached last year, and I was excited because I thought, wow, we're going to have at least 6 clubs within this one big company, because they're a 3,000 employee company. And I said, oh my God, we're going to have one in IT, we're going to have one in HR, and I was blown away with all the opportunities and possibilities, but we didn't have the resources. So it's best to start off with one club in a corporation, than having multiple clubs within a corporate, because of the resources. And once you have one, then you can open it up to a different department. Again, that all depends on what the company wants and what they want to fulfill and how they want to help their employees. Because it's definitely beneficial for employees. We know that they can have good return on investment. It's cheap. We know that. We give them good. There's so much that we offer that it's ridiculous, really. So they can't complain, and they can't say that it's because of money or a budget. I don't buy that, especially for a multinational. Okay, that's very good. Thank you, Nigel. Any other questions? And we continue. Should I continue? Okay, will do. So corporate clubs, actually this is in Denmark. This is a really cool structure that they have there. Whoops, what happened? What happened? Here. Whoops, I don't know what happened here. Okay. So more than half of Fortune 500 companies offer Toastmasters. So that is a good sell for any company. There are many resources, again, on TI, on the international website, that I highly suggest that you look into. And if you want more resources, if you happen to be in a company, you can email Toastmasters International or ask your program quality director, or sorry, your club growth director, to find it if that club has, if that company has Toastmasters clubs worldwide, because they can offer you a list. They can give you a list of those companies. Okay. So corporate clubs, the target audience, of course, is slightly different, because it could be department based, it could be skill based, it could be, profession based. We have Oracle, they're a mix. In Ericsson, we have more people in IT. Amazon, there's several, right? We have Amazon in Madrid, they're more sales oriented. And then the one in Barcelona that we're hoping to open soon is, I think, operations. So again, it depends. Companies tend to have niche clubs. And then again, the location, venue, date, and time, we know that, and the sponsors, similar. Marketing, speechcraft, demo meetings, again, HR, buy-in. We've done demo meetings to different departments. so that you could recruit members. You could recruit members that way by having experienced Toastmasters give demo meetings to different departments in the company. We need those 20 members. And then the executive board, there's always, from my experience, at the corporate level, there's always those, there are sometimes too many that want to be on the executive committee. From my experience, I know others say that they can never get commitment, right? But for some reason, it's like, oh, now I'm the VP because they don't have a VP status in their company. But you know, Toastmasters, you can become a VP of membership, a VP of education, a VP of PR. So many VPs. People want to become VPs. So here are tips. These are some tips that we've just to promote awareness. Because it's a corporate club, they have channels of communication. Use those channels of communication. This is where HR can really help. If you have a good connection with somebody in PR and the training department, this is where it would help. The onboarding. I know that from experience when I was working in the software industry, we had, you know, our onboarding, we always had someone talk about extracurricular activities that we could do outside or inside the company, and hold membership drives. You know, just reach out to different members, different employees. Again, themed meetings always helps as well. Maybe you reach out to somebody who is an expert in a subject and have them give a talk, have them give a keynote at a company event. There's just many different ways. It's really endless. Invite. This is what the other day we had someone ask if, for example, you may be the head of sales, and then one of your peers, but who's under you, is also involved in that in the club. There might be a little bit of people feel uncomfortable, right? Because maybe the person who you report to doesn't want you to see that they're not as great public speakers as you would expect them to be. So there's all these expectations. This is where it becomes tricky on who will belong to a corporate club. You know, maybe you don't want your boss in that club. Maybe you want a peer, but you don't want so-and-so. Again, it becomes a delicate situation, but it depends on the company, of course. Or you might be forced, or maybe they will force employees saying, you have to go. This is something for you, you know, that they will force employees to go, and then they have, especially if they want to get promoted. So this is the letter that I had mentioned. It's on Toastmasters. Of course, it's very American, the way they write it, but this is a resource that's on the website that you can download, and then of course you can edit, but it helps to have that buy-in with HR or someone that you know at the company. Okay, because after all, we are going to reach 100 years. What company, especially an educational company that promotes public speaking and leadership? We don't know any other educational company with this background. And so we have, yeah, it's powerful. We are a powerful corporation for sure. And challenges. Again, Nigel, you mentioned those challenges already. And I think it's having that commitment, it's having that people who are dedicated to wanting to change lives, because really that's what we're doing. You know, we're changing lives one one person at a time. And not everyone's going to have the same amount of time, and that's something that we all have to accept. You may have a president, someone who wants to be a president, but maybe they don't have that much time, but they're very good leaders, you know that. They've shown you, and maybe they can only be available 3 hours a week, whereas someone might want to be available 20 hours a week. It all depends. Those are big challenges that we face in both the community and the corporate clubs. What other challenges do you have? I know for us, we had many bad eggs in our club. We had many bad eggs. People who just were not very nice. And when they left the club, oh, we were so happy. No more friction, no more tension. And it's amazing how one or two people can influence the whole, the energy in a club. Yes, Nigel.
Well, I was just thinking that following on from the point you made before, and this is something I discussed with other Toastmasters, that is you find that within a team you get some people who really commit as part of their leadership. They commit to really putting in the time and effort, and that they will never let you down. And there's other people who they kind of want the prestige of being VP of this or director of this, but then maybe you see that they don't follow it up. And when those people don't follow something up, then it leaves a hole and other people have to fill that hole. And I'm just wondering if you've got any comments about this sort of problem when you're setting up a club or making sure a club continues, stays healthy, and how you manage those things.
I always ask why. Why do you want this? Why do you want a role? Why do you want to be on the executive committee? What is your purpose? And why? Go back to always, why are you here? Because everyone has a different reason. And of course, many want to reach their DTM, but we've had people get the DTM without really putting in a lot of work. And it really is frustrating to see. And I always just say, it's on them. It's their conscience, right? It's their, again, going back to the core values. We always mention the core values at the beginning of our meetings. And, do integrity, right? I mean, respect, service, excellence, but integrity is huge. And I know many people don't have integrity. I see it all the time. And they try to take shortcuts to get that DTM. And I asked the other day, it's like, okay, we have an HPL, it's a level 5. What did you do? Oh no, but I completed. I didn't see anything. What have you done? I'm curious because I had to organize a summit, with over 100 people. I had to have a committee. I did a lot of work. But it doesn't have to be like that. But I just think that's where, it's asking people again their why and going back to the core values. Any other challenges?
Claudia, you mentioned about bad eggs and you felt relieved when bad eggs left. But bad eggs tend to formulate gangs for mafia, and they form friends of mafia, and they want to influence their power, that they want to stay in power in execom. But we want to avoid a situation where we want to expel bad eggs. And from your experience, those bad eggs left by realizing that they're not fit for the club ambience, or what happened? And because I was always told by the district court team that it's no good to expel someone because there will be another baby mafia who will be still having a negative impression on what has happened. So try to deal with it, but not to expel it.
We've had a situation where we had to expel, but that was because we had to. We had a disciplinary committee. Yeah, it was not good. And we had to do it. Again, because of our core values. They do not, they are not reflected in that person. And we had to have a disciplinary committee. It took several months, and then we had the final verdict, and that person is no longer involved. Yeah. Did it create another set of mafia bad eggs? No. And I did hear from Toastmasters International at the conference this last time in the Bahamas that there have been more cases like this. But that's why we have disciplinary committees, and that's what I'm very grateful to Toastmasters that they have the what do you call it, the governing documents. It's all in the governing documents, and that is your backup. That is your backup. It's true. It's just like a contest. We have contest rules. Go to the rule. Go to the guide. We have it. There's no way out of it. These are the rules. If you did this, you will be disqualified. So yeah, Toastmasters we have resources to go to.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So these are the some common frequently asked questions. How long will it take to charter the club? It all depends. Of course, when you pay when you complete the application to charter, that now Toastmasters is requiring that you charter within a year. So you have to be very careful about that. However, there's a saying in Spanish, I don't know what it would be in English, to be honest, but anyway, if you don't cry, you don't get fed. And Toastmasters last year made some exceptions because we had clubs that were in the chart that had completed the application to charter, and but because of COVID, they had been 2 years without chartering, and they accepted it. They were about to charter. They said, look, we already have 20 members. It's taken us 2 years, but please, 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 we want to charter. We have all the funds. We have the members. Will you allow us to do that? And they made an exception. Okay. But I know they're getting, it's becoming harder. So my recommendation is if you're going to pay, that's a commitment, try to charter within that year so that you don't have to pay the charter fee again. Yeah. And then, and then how much does each member pay? I already mentioned that each member again has to pay the full 6 months. Okay. So you pay the 20 for application fee, that's 60, and then the application to charter fee can be, depends, the sponsor may pay for it, or you can have every member pay, 5, 10, whatever you want towards that application fee. Okay, so corporate clubs, we have a different approach, as I mentioned. What happened to this image there? So corporate clubs, again, it's more tailor-made. It can be open or closed. Most corporates are closed, but I have had Oracle, for example, they are open. If it's a hybrid, if they do hybrid, they will open it to others. It's more goals and objectives oriented. Company pays versus employees. Sometimes we'll have the employees pay and then they'll get reimbursed. And that's a way also of establishing more commitment from the employee. Members participate again in training. In training, they don't really participate in meetings. There's a different lingo, okay, when it comes to corporates. And members give presentations, they don't give speeches, and of course are encouraged to take on leadership roles. There are also companies that do assessments. So they say, okay, after 3 months, they will see Easy Speak, depending on what platform you use. They will say, okay, I want to know if Yoko, for example, if she has been giving presentations, how many presentations has she given since she became a member? How many leadership roles has she taken? Yes, there are some companies that will do that because they want to make sure that you're committed. They're not going to pay just to pay for you to not do anything. They want your commitment. And that seems to work very well because yeah, it shows accountability, something that the community clubs don't have. And I always insist that we should have something like that as well in the community clubs. And this screenshot, you can have it, it's on TI. If you just Google, not Google, but if you go to the Toastmasters International website and just search for open a corporate club, you get an infographic. There's infographics and there's more information. But again, it's 425 plus the 20 plus the 60, you get really good return on investment. Okay, this is only if you need help with that buy-in, like I mentioned. There are many resources that you can link, you can put links on the email to, but of course, it's always best if you meet with them in person and maybe take someone from another corporate club that you know with you, and they can also talk about the benefits. That's also key. Soft skills, improve, leverage employee soft skills. Yeah, we offer a lot of benefits. And then when you charter, you celebrate. And then you hope, Nigel, that it's sustainable and that people will be committed and people will stay on board and you retain your members. And yeah, for Toastmasters Malaga, we've been having a lot of educational workshops from time to time where we don't have a regular meeting. We just come in, it's educational, and then we have, go out to eat. And then we do hikes, on weekends, and we try to get other clubs from the area to join in too. There's lots of ways, or going to the park, just having a Toastmasters meeting at the park. And then people think, oh my goodness, these people are crazy. What are they doing? And then people come and they look and they watch and they listen, and then they end up becoming a member, So any questions, any more questions before we end? Yes, Yoko.
Yes, I have 3 questions. Can I mention all 3?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Before chartering the club, before the club is chartered, members only have access to level 1.
Yes.
And I was wondering if it's sustainable or members still, let's say that it takes 12 months. I heard 6 months from you, but if it takes 12 months maximum to charter the club and they only have access to level 1, is it sustainable for new members to be on board? That's my first question. Do you need to have some other extra candy or carrots for them to stay?
You do, and you can, and that is basically giving them. How did we do it with like we had another club? I think they were just given printouts from from somebody's pathway, depending on what pathway, because you have all the evaluation forms on the online, right?
Yes.
And I think there's a way to get access to them. And then you just check it off when they do it so that they get credit, because it's not fair that they are there waiting. Yeah, there is a way to do it. There is a way to do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, just make sure the BPE, knows who and what they've done.
Thank you. Second question is there a logic behind why there's no club mentors for corporate clubs? Is it because HR and training sections are already involved and engaged? That's why there's no club mentors assigned for corporate. I was wondering what's the logic behind the community clubs have club sponsors and mentors, but there's no club mentors for corporate clubs.
Okay, as far as I know, there are mentors for corporate clubs.
Okay. Oh no, club sponsors that you said there was a difference. Okay. I think I misunderstood that.
You can be a club sponsor.
Okay.
So you need club sponsors and mentors.
Okay. But did I? Okay, in the slide for the corporate clubs, I saw club sponsors. But I didn't see club mentors, so I thought there was a difference between corporate clubs and community clubs. Yes,
Oh,
sponsor.
okay, my
Hmm.
mistake, my mistake.
Oh, so it's the same system. Okay, understood. Okay. And if you could turn to the next slide. Yes, this slide, the one with the exec committee. That's related to my third question. Yes, I see exec committee, president, BPE, treasurer, and secretary. I think if you can help me understand better. You put BPE because BPE is somebody has to be responsible for educational progress and keeping record of education. But for the club to be recognized as a club, it doesn't have to be BPE, but it's just the vice president in general. But you mentioned BPE because the education is the important element, correct?
Yeah, so
Okay.
you need those three on the
Mhm.
executive committee. You need the president, the VPE for sure, and then the treasurer and secretary can act as one. The treasurer, in this case, is someone who's just acts as liaison between the accounting department, whoever's going to pay for their dues, right?
Mhm.
And the secretary just to take minutes and to be able to also vote, because we have the voting for the international president. That's the secretary and the president have those votes.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes.
Why it's, yes. And then also because the president and VPE are part of the district council.
Mhm.
That's why it's
Okay.
important to have the VPE as well. Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. And then, of course, here's the how to build a Toastmasters step by step. It's truly step by step, people. It really is. And there are all the forms. It tells you everything. I can't, this, if you read it, it's spoon feeding you with all the information that you need. It's just having that energy to continue and getting a good, a good solid partner team to work with you on chartering. And it's like a startup. It's like a mini business, right? It's a startup. You're starting a business and you have partners, and those partners should be held accountable. And you have an accountability partner. Remember, Elena, the accountability partner that we discovered in the Bahamas this year? I think it's a nice, if you can have each of you an accountability partner. It's a member from a Toastmasters club, your club, or any club that checks up on you to make sure that you are on your, your journey, that you don't, if you have a hiccup here and there, if you're taking off the tracks, that you can come back to it and continue. So that's what we call an accountability partner, and it's working out nicely actually to have that. And that's it. And I want to thank you, everyone, for being here. And feel free to reach out to me. Oh my goodness, I didn't put my email address there, but it's easy. Toastmasterclaudia@gmail.com.
Well, thank you very much, Claudia. It was really interesting.
Thank you. And I also recommend that everyone, if you don't have a set Toastmasters Gmail account, have one. It makes your life easier.
It's a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
It was
you.
very informative.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Congratulations.
Everybody, thank you very much.
Thank you a lot,
Bye.
Claudia.
Thank you all.